A very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Here's a look at what's in store for you in this edition. Our cover story tonight is about a rather interesting twist in the Russia-Ukraine war that has left a series of question marks. Do we know who is winning as of now? We don't. But here's a question that has dominated global headlines today. Did Kyiv try to kill the Russian President Vladimir Putin with a drone? And did Moscow rain missiles in retaliation? Have Kyiv's actions escalated this conflict on the ground? And what's happening? What is the latest situation? Where are things headed? And how do these latest developments impact the course of the war? We discuss this and more over the next few minutes. Also on the show for you tonight, things are heating up in the frigid Arctic. Will the next war be over the Arctic? We tell you about this heated contest. Is China helping Mexican drug cartels? We tell you more about the worsening American drug crisis. A Buddha statue discovered in Egypt has triggered a series of questions. We tell you what historians are saying at this point. And we also make you meet the world's first specially abled astronaut. Did Ukraine try to assassinate Vladimir Putin with a drone this week? And did Moscow respond with a flurry of missile attacks that reheated a war that seemed to have started to cool down as retaliation? You see, these questions are buzzing across Europe and the concerned capitals of the world, and not without reason, by the way. Let's just take a closer look at the developments over the last 48 hours. Let's just piece them together for you. On the 27th of April, this report emerged. It said that Kyiv recently hatched a plot to kill Putin outside the Russian capital. And this plot was apparently the brainchild of Ukraine's secret service. This report was based on a claim that was made by a prominent Ukrainian journalist. His name is Yuri Romanenko. He is the chief editor of Kvylya, a Ukrainian website. And in an extensive post on Twitter, he claimed that last week, Ukrainian intelligence officials received information about Putin's visit to the industrial park in Rodnevo. And accordingly, they came up with a plan to kill him. They apparently sent a kamikaze drone which has a range of up to 800 kilometers. This drone was laden with 17 kgs of explosives. It managed to fly over the border and pass by Russia's air defense systems. It was supposed to explode and kill the Russian leader right when he arrives in Rodnevo. But before it could do that, the drone crashed. And how did it crash? Was it shot down or did it malfunction? What really happened? Maybe someone knows, but no one is talking about this. All we know is that the wreckage of a drone was found just a few miles from Moscow. It had crashed in a village called Voroskogo. The local police saying that it was stuffed with 17 kgs of explosives. Now, was this the assassin drone? Well, the Russians will not say, but here's what they are doing instead. This morning, they launched a wave of airstrikes across Ukraine. The worst hit were the cities of Oman, Kyiv, Kremenchuk, Dnipro, Mykolaiv, and Poltava. And these strikes were the biggest in 2 months. They left a total of 19 people dead, besides damaging critical infrastructure. And now have a look at these images. They are from Oman. They show firefighters battling a deadly blaze. After the missile strikes, reports say one of them even hit a residential building. And at another site in Oman, officials were seen digging through the rubble and removing bodies after the deadly strikes. And last we checked, the rescue operations were still underway.
Today at 4:30 am, the enemy launched a missile attack on the town of Oman. One of the missiles hit a 9-story residential building. The first entrance to the building was almost completely destroyed. According to the preliminary data, 109 people lived in the building. 46 flats were damaged and 27 were completely destroyed. Emergency rescue operations are currently underway.
I was sitting at my computer and there was a powerful explosion. It struck me in the back. I tried to turn on the light and it didn't work. I went immediately to look for my children. My wife was in the living room with my younger son. I couldn't open the door. When I opened it, I saw nothing.
And have a look at these images now. They are from Dnipro. They show rescue workers at the sites of the missile strikes. And reports say a woman and her 3-year-old daughter were apparently killed in the strikes. So what exactly was Russia targeting? Military infrastructure, is it? Was it a government hideout or an energy facility? Well, there is no clarity, and Ukrainian officials are saying that the attacks were not aimed at anything in particular, that they had no military purpose. In fact, they say Russia's intention was to just inflict as much damage as it can and intimidate the civilians. But how do we view this? You see, one interpretation says that these airstrikes indicate that Russia's spring offensive has started. So is Moscow about to launch a new round of attacks as far as Ukraine is concerned? Will these strikes be followed by more such assaults? Or were they just a retaliation to Kyiv's attempt of assassinating the Russian president? Is Moscow trying to send out a message to the Ukrainian leadership? I mean, just join the dots and sketch the scenario. On Monday, Ukraine hatches a plot to kill Putin. By midweek, the plot makes global headlines on Thursday. And by Friday morning, Russia rains down missiles on Ukrainian cities. If the drone was an assassin drone, Kyiv was playing a dangerous and foolhardy game. Because this is not the kind of brinkmanship that Ukraine's closest allies would approve. Russia and China have once again made headlines. The two countries have signed a new deal. What's it about? It's a deal essentially to challenge the NATO in the Arctic region. The countries want to reap the Arctic's natural resources and block its access from the West. And Moscow is following this up with building defense in the region. Will the next war be over the Arctic? And what more is Moscow planning to do? You see, Russia has been quite active as far as the Arctic is concerned. Moscow recently, in fact, held an Arctic rescue exercise. 9 African, Latin American and Eurasian countries joined these drills, and Russia's strong ally China stood as an observer to these drills. The two countries describe their ties as a no-limits partnership. They have now signed a maritime law enforcement agreement. Although the details of the deal have not been disclosed, we know that this will protect their strategic interests in the Arctic. Things are heating up. Russia's main aim is to challenge the NATO and the West. And how exactly is Moscow planning to establish an offensive in the Arctic? The Kremlin, you see, is building more military outposts. And this includes deep water ports and airfields. Does Russia want to make the Arctic a battleground? Well, Moscow has opened over 50 Arctic military facilities in the past decade. Not just that, it's also moving its nuclear deterrent to the region. Experts say the region could become a war zone if Western countries don't take urgent measures. So why is Russia trying to block the Arctic for itself? Moscow regards the Arctic as its backyard. It wants access to the hydrocarbon resources in the region. Hydrocarbons make up the majority of petroleum and natural gas. And dominance over the resource would highly benefit Russia. In fact, the country has also lodged a claim with the United Nations to get a legal right to the riches. And just how resource-rich is the Arctic region really? Well, the region has vast untapped resources, and this includes important rare earth elements. Russia and China value the Arctic's mineral deposits. These are deposits worth more than $30 trillion. Studies show that a third of the world's undiscovered natural gas lies in the Arctic. So it's no surprise that the countries want the region for themselves. And how are other countries reacting to this new deal? The Arctic states are not convinced about the maritime agreement. Members of the Arctic Council, in fact, have refused to deal with Moscow, especially after its invasion of Ukraine. Let's just tell you about the Arctic Council. The Council currently has 7 members: the US, Russia, Canada, Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Sweden, and Norway. The Arctic Council is an organization that handles matters regarding the Arctic area and its native population. And Russia was pulled out as a permanent member and presides over the council on a rotating basis. The council, in fact, had to stop 130 collaborative operations, and the members stopped all communication with Russia. This led to Russia concentrating on its own Arctic agenda, which, by the way, resulted in the new maritime deal with China. Experts say Moscow feels threatened by the NATO and the Arctic Council. And so, as a result, it is increasing cooperation with China and other non-Western partners like India. It's not only Russia which has a strong agenda as far as the Arctic is concerned. China has sought a bigger role in the Arctic affairs. This comes as political and economic ties deepen with Moscow, and experts say that Russia could be China's best route to gain greater influence over the region. China, which has declared itself as a near-Arctic state, aims to grab access to the Arctic's shipping lanes and resources. And that's not even all. Beijing has proposed a Silk Road on ice. And this would be a massive network of Arctic routes. China has claimed itself as a stakeholder in Arctic affairs. It says that climate change in the region would directly impact its environment and the economy. Beijing says it upholds an important mission. What's the mission? To promote peace and security in the region. Well, the new maritime deal seems to represent quite the contrary. The heated contest over the Arctic seems to not be slowing down. In fact, Russia and China's attempt to dominate the region could escalate tensions further between the West and Russia. Where are things headed? Will the desire for natural resources turn into a heated conflict? Would the Arctic become the next battleground? And our next story is about Qamar Javed Bajwa, Pakistan's former Chief of Army Staff. He is making international headlines, and not for the best reasons, courtesy Hamid Mir and Naseem Zehra. Who are they? Two prominent Pakistani journalists, and they have made a stunning claim. They say that in a 2021 interaction with over a dozen Pakistani journalists, Bajwa apparently revealed that Pakistan cannot beat India if the two fought a war. And that's not even all. He even told them that the Pakistan army is no match for the Indian army. Let me quote his exact statement. Bajwa had told us that tanks are not in a working condition. There is no diesel for the movement of troops. He said that the Pakistan army was not capable of fighting a war before 20 to 25 people. After the incident, he asked Faiz to at least inform the Foreign Office about it. However, Bajwa came and lectured them. The same lecture was given to us. And immediately after this statement was made, the Pakistan army dismissed the claims, saying that Bajwa's statement, which was made off the record, was taken out of context. Let me just quote now from their exact response. Views of the former army chief on the future threats to Pakistan, which he shared with media persons in an off-the-record interactive session, have been quoted out of context. The army assures the people of Pakistan that we always took and will continue to take pride in our operational preparedness and utmost combat worthiness. And you see, the story should have ended there, only that it has not. Courtesy Imran Khan, the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, someone who has been at loggerheads with Bajwa and has also blamed him, in fact, for toppling his government. Now, he has claimed that he knows more than what has been shared by Hamid Mir. But since this is a national security issue, he did not want to make international news and let Pakistan suffer. Now, remember, just a few days back, Imran Khan leveled a serious allegation against Bajwa. He said that he had dissolved 2 provincial assemblies because General Bajwa had asked him to do so. He said that during a meeting with Bajwa back in January, which was also attended by the President Arif Alvi, he was asked to dissolve the governments in the 2 provinces if he wanted the country to go to the polls. And now you have 2 senior Pakistani journalists publicly embarrassing the former army chief. How should one view this? Until now, it was Imran Khan that was taking on Bajwa. And now you have Pakistani journalists also revealing what he told them. From where we see it, we have not heard the last of this story. And our next story is about the US and China and how their strained dynamics are fueling an epidemic of drugs across the US. This is the story of the addiction epidemic in the United States and how it's worsening and how Chinese money launderers are contributing to make it worse. Our next report getting you the complete story.
Chinese money launderers are fueling an addiction epidemic in America. This network is growing. And how does it function? Well, Chinese criminals are helping Mexican drug cartels bypass banking and regulatory crackdowns in the United States. The strained relationship between Washington and Beijing is complicating efforts to tackle this, with China's repeated denial of any role in America's drug crisis. And just how bad is the crisis? The figures are alarming. In 2021 alone, 107,000 deaths were recorded in America due to drug overdose. Out of this, 2/3 were due to a highly addictive synthetic opioid called fentanyl, with the opioid becoming the leading cause of death for Americans. Particularly between the ages of 18 and 45, it has begun to emerge as America's greatest enemy. And this has led to a new threat of drug cartel businesses witnessing a dramatic change. Some officials from the US believe that criminal organizations in China have captured the money laundering business for the cartels. And this is not only alarming, but it is one of the biggest threats to public safety in the United States. As per officials, this network is so efficient in its functioning that American law enforcement is finding it difficult to decode it. In fact, most of the communication is carried out over WeChat. It is an encrypted Chinese instant messaging app, which is extremely difficult to intercept. The State Department of the US estimates illicit funds worth over $154 billion pass through China every year. $154 billion. Tracing the movement of illicit money is difficult, primarily because Chinese money brokers pick up narcotic proceeds in the US, and once the bulk of cash is received by Chinese brokers, they then sell the dollars to Chinese customers who want to spend the money in the US. Chinese organized crime charging only 2% to launder the funds, as opposed to a charge of 10% that is incurred on running them without Chinese support. This is accompanied by the constant risk of violence, theft, and law enforcement intervention. Along with these benefits, the funds are delivered to the traffickers in their home countries, immediately with guaranteed payment, and minimized movement of funds. After all, money is the lifeline of drug cartels, and China is enriching this systematically, strategically, and claiming that Mexico and China have a smooth channel of counter-narcotics cooperation. And the opioid drug abuse in the US is completely made in America. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Did India and Egypt have ancient trade relations? Well, a new discovery in Egypt has historians asking this very question. What am I talking about? A Polish-US mission has discovered a statue of Buddha, and experts say that this points towards India-Egypt ties in the Roman era. And what is the significance of the ancient Buddha statue? Well, India and Egypt, two of the world's oldest civilizations, have always enjoyed close ties since the ancient times. Mahatma Gandhi and Saad Zaghloul, the former Prime Minister of Egypt, shared common goals on the independence of their countries. And now, historians are asking if the good ties date back to the Roman era. An ancient statue of Buddha has been discovered in an ancient temple. And what does this historical statue look like? The statue has parts of its right side missing. It is 71 centimeters tall with a halo around its head. And the halo was the biggest indicator of the statue being that of Buddha's. Next was the lotus by its side. The excavation site was one of the largest seaports in Roman-era Egypt. The ports would often receive ships from India, and the ships would usually come with spices, semi-precious stones, textiles, ivory. Buddhism, founded by Lord Buddha, has its roots in India. Buddhism, in fact, has shaped the region's cultural landscape. The religion originated over 2,500 years ago in India. Buddhists believe that the human life is one of suffering, and how can one end the suffering? They believe meditation, physical labor, and good behavior can set you free. The aim essentially is to achieve enlightenment, also known as nirvana. In fact, Buddhism also has its own festival, Buddha Purnima. The festival marks the birth, enlightenment, and the passing of Lord Buddha. The event pays tribute to the life and teachings of Lord Buddha, the holy teacher who devoted his life to spreading the message of peace and non-violence. Although Egypt has unveiled many archaeological discoveries, experts say the flurry of excavations have prioritized findings that grab media attention. So, will the statue unravel the significance of Buddhism as far as Egypt is concerned? Did Buddhism play a role in ancient Egyptian civilizations? And our next story is from Spain. The city of Seville has witnessed a bullfighter making history. You see, the Spanish bullfighter has been given a rather interesting honor, which is not granted for more than half a century. What is this honor, and who is this bullfighter? First things first, bullfighting is no joke. It is a part of the cultural heritage of Spain. It is a fight between a man and a bull, but it is regulated by a set of rules and guidelines. Spain's José Antonio Morante de la Puebla, the bullfighter in the spotlight as of now, was awarded the bull's ears as well as the tail. And this is known to be the highest honor given to a fighter. It is a prize that wasn't given for the last 52 years. The leader of Seville himself honored the bullfighter, but the celebrated bullfighter has earlier faced criticism. The matador has been called sadistic for his posts on social media. In fact, Jose posted a video of him fighting a bull. It showed him attacking a bull and plunging spikes into the back of the bull. The video was removed and his account was blocked. The social media platform said that the bloody scenes represented cruelty and sadistic pleasure. Animal rights supporters cheered for the social media platform. And this move has enraged the bullfighting community. Supporters of the controversial tradition came to the matador's defense meanwhile. And Jose himself said that this was a violation of the freedom of expression. And this response has sparked a debate between freedom of expression and cancel culture. Bullfighting has been criticized heavily. Experts say that the sport is a supremely dangerous one. Even though matadors are highly skilled, the fighters go through several severe injuries, like receiving horn wounds, which can also be life-threatening. And it's not only the matador who is in the line of danger. Bulls are subjected to various injuries as well. The equipment used by a matador during a fight, like a lance and a flag, are often stabbed into the skin of the bull. And this act can damage the bull's skin, muscles, arteries. But let me tell you how a bullfight leads to a bull's death. You see, a bullfight has 3 stages. Each stage lasts for up to 10 minutes. The matador must respect the timings, else the president gives them a warning. And how does the matador win? By killing the bull. And once the bull is dead, the fight is over and the matador is awarded. But that's not all. The event carries on until the audience witnesses 6 bulls die. And knowing the brutal nature of the sport, Spain still relishes bullfighting as it lies at the heart of its culture. Bullfights are considered supreme symbols of the Hispanic culture, but they are not only enjoyed in Spain. Other parts of the world as well enjoy their own versions of the sport. But Spain comes on top as it has the longest season of bullfights. And with many parts of the world witnessing the sport, it might worry animal activists as bulls continue to be abused. Will animal rights activists lose the battle against historic customs? Will bullfighters adopt a safer way to play the sport? We will have to wait and watch. And just a few days ago, we told you about a leg lengthening surgery that people are opting for. You know, to gain a few inches of height, to change the way they look. And our story tonight is about shedding some weight, the fight against obesity. And there is a major milestone. Our next report telling you more.
From fat to flat. Do this and lose weight in 10 days. How to lose weight at home. These advertisements are all around us, promising to snatch away a few kilos and change the way you look. But is there a miracle drug out there? This is tirzepatide, a drug manufactured by Eli Lilly and Company. It was approved to treat type 2 diabetes under the brand name Mounjaro. The drug is not cleared for weight loss, but early trial data is convincing. Within 17 months, overweight people with diabetes lost up to 16% of their body weight. This is more than 15.4 kilograms. Similar people without diabetes lost up to 22% of their body weight over the same period. This is more than 22.6 kilograms. But there is another side to this. Let's not forget that we live in the age of social media, where there's no dearth of influences, and as a result, no dearth of content that is bombarded at us. The quote-unquote perfect body standards are hurled at us, and there is no getting away. While we are not here to give you a lecture about body positivity, what we can say is leading a healthy lifestyle is of utmost importance. Many could see pills like these as shortcuts. Experts say proper diet and exercise can help you reduce 5% of the body fat, but this percentage stands nowhere close to what tirzepatide can do to your body. What about the side effects? After all, it is a drug that is tampering with your digestion, suppressing your appetite, and releasing new chemicals. Patients have experienced diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, constipation, and stomach pain. Some users have even developed inflammation of the pancreas and gallbladder problems. Mounjaro's product description warns that it could cause thyroid tumors, including cancer. Industry analysts predict that tirzepatide could become one of the top-selling drugs ever, with annual sales topping $50 billion. For Eli Lilly and Co., these are big bucks. And for the world of obesity treatment, it is potentially the most effective drug to date. But these are sensitive times. A drug like this could be considered a miracle drug by some, while for others, it could give birth to more insecurities. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Now on to a story that is out of this world, quite literally. In the autumn of 2000, a bike accident left young John McFall without his right leg. His life changed overnight. But he was not going to give up. In fact, John was only getting started. 22 years and countless Paralympic medals later, John McFall became the world's first specially abled astronaut, appointed by the European Space Agency. The para-astronaut experienced his first zero-gravity parabolic flight test on Thursday as he took his first vomit comet to space. What is that? Our next report getting you all the details.
It's been an eventful journey for John McFall.
Please come forward.
He has had an illustrious career prior to his stint as the first para-astronaut ever. After losing his leg and learning how to walk again with a prosthetic, McFall took up running as a leisure activity first and then competitively. The highlight of McFall's career as a Paralympian came in 2008 when he won the bronze medal for the 100-meter race at the Beijing Paralympics. But McFall was only getting started. The Paralympian has now put a pause on his career as a doctor after the ESA selected him to be the first para-astronaut in space.
I never dreamt of being an astronaut. I was always hugely interested in science and always looked to the stars when I was a child. But as I became, when I became an amputee, like the military, there are medical restrictions on joining, which I wouldn't be able to join as an amputee with a physical disability. So it was only when ESA announced that they were looking for a candidate with a physical disability to embark on this project that it really sparked my interest and enthusiasm for this project.
The European Space Agency has recruited McFall to take part in a paradigm-shifting study. McFall will observe how his prosthetic leg behaves in zero gravity as compared to Earth. John McFall will take the first steps to determine how the specially abled can take their journey forward beyond planet Earth. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Let me ask you this now. What comes to your mind when I mention the word sleep? Is it rest? Some much needed rejuvenation? Now, what comes to your mind when I mention tourism? A vacation perhaps? Traveling, holiday, beaches? And finally, what crosses your mind when I mention the word divorce? I'm sure there are a lot of passing thoughts there. A lot is running through your mind. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Have you heard of sleep divorce? Or for that matter, have you heard of sleep tourism? Now, if you put in these keywords on the internet, the search engine will tell you that these terms are trending, and with that, so are these concepts. Let me just begin with sleep tourism. What is it all about? It is said to be the trend of this year. The trend that has brought the terms sleep and holiday together. It is dominating trend charts. And gone are the times when people traveled only for adventure. We are entering times where travel is more about restful sleep, where one can get that much needed rest. And travel is no longer restricted to scenic views or enjoying the nightlife. It's no longer, for many people, it's no longer about adventure and food. Instead, it's about choosing a place that promises a good night's sleep. From food to stay, everything is centered around your ability to sleep and rest. You see, sleep has now become a luxury. We spend a third of our lives sleeping, and sleep tourism is here to make a third of our lives even better. In simple words, sleep tourism means going on a vacation and opting to sleep, opting for sleep-related services and amenities, basically amenities that induce peaceful sleep. And what exactly do you do while on a sleep tour? You book holidays which are more like sleep retreats, and all the activities that you opt for are to improve your sleep pattern, which means that your hotel rooms will be specifically designed to cancel outside noise. They will have recorded sleep meditations that help you doze off. There will be beds that facilitate better sleep. Does that sound interesting? According to experts, sleep tourism is a branch of wellness tourism, and it has evolved because more and more people want to escape the hectic schedules. They want to improve their sleeping habits. Moreover, the Wuhan virus pandemic played a very big role in this trend and reviving it. the pandemic severely impacted people's sleep patterns. A lot of it had to do with increased stress levels, altered schedules. In fact, according to a study, nearly 40% of the 2,500 adults who participated in the study confirmed that they had reduced sleep since the onset of the pandemic. You see, sleep plays a very important role in the brain functions. In fact, it plays a significant role in one's overall health. And as people are becoming more and more aware of this, they are opting for sleep tourism. On to the next sleep-related concept. It's called sleep divorce. And no, it doesn't mean what it sounds like. It definitely does not entail a courtroom. In simple words, sleep divorce is when couples or partners sleep in different rooms, in different homes, or in separate beds. Well, do you ever feel annoyed because your partner is snoring or working at odd times? Or for that matter, does it bother you that your partner has a completely different sleeping pattern as compared to yours? Your partner could be an owl and you are a lark. Stolen covers or alarms ringing before you wake up. Does this sound familiar? Do you feel that this compromises your quality of sleep? Well, this is where sleep divorce steps in. It is done or carried out to enhance the quality of sleep for both the partners. Now, what's important here is the fact that both the partners do this together and both feel comfortable. It can be done temporarily or even permanently, based on a couple's discretion. Now, some people might be against this idea because of its name, but sleep divorce has its benefits. One, it improves your quality of sleep, and this in turn aids your mental and physical health. Two, it adds to the overall health of your relationship. Better sleep means a better mood, and a better mood means overall better well-being. In fact, a report that was published on sleep divorce noted 1,000 tweets on the subject, out of which 61.4% were positive. On TikTok, there are more than 355,000 views for the hashtag sleep divorce. So it looks like an increasing number of people are opting for sleep divorce, but does it have any downside? Well, sleep divorce cannot be a solution in times when you have a sleep-related medical condition. Medical conditions can only be treated by medical experts. And another plausible downside is the term divorce and its negative implications on one's relationship and can have a bearing on a couple's affection. Lastly, constantly changing where you sleep could hamper healthy sleep cycles and alter your rhythms. Sleep deprivation is a worldwide issue. People around the world are reporting sleep irregularities, and this is severely impacting their quality of life and increasing the risk of diseases like cancer, heart attacks, obesity. Sleep is a basic need. It is an absolute necessity, thus making concepts like sleep tourism and sleep divorce essential for some. People around the world are now more worried about their money today than ever before. And the impact of that worry is felt everywhere, from the office to their relationships. Our next report takes a closer look at the far-reaching impact that this has on their lives.
Planning a date, but worried about how it will affect your budget? You are not alone. A recent survey by Bread Financials suggests over 70% Americans are stressed about their financial situation. But what's worse, they feel uncomfortable discussing it with anyone, and that includes their partners. The survey says 66% couples believe they are financially incompatible. That means their ideas are not aligned when it comes to spending, saving, and investing. Psychologists warn that this disparity leads to financial infidelity, a phenomenon that involves couples hiding their purchases from each other. Financial infidelity is more common in the younger generations, with 60% millennials reporting that they have cheated on their partner, while 61% Gen Zers admit to have cheated financially. Singles are equally stressed about money and want a potential partner to be financially responsible. Among the parameters that counted as most attractive in a potential partner, a good credit score ranked as priority. Having a financial planner was second on that list, while many said they found deal hunters attractive. While respondents on the survey had no problems answering questions about their relationship and money, the survey finds that couples shy away from discussing finances with each other. That's mostly due to money shame that comes from struggling to pay bills or afford a lifestyle that's considered attractive. But guess what? If you are worried about money, you're not alone. You're just a global citizen struggling with high living costs and stagnating wages. Special report, WION World is One.
Let's now tell you what else made news around the world. Time for Gravitas Global Headlines.
At least 11 dead and several rescued as ferry capsizes off the eastern coast of Indonesia's Sumatra island. The ferry was carrying about 74 people to a small island near neighboring Singapore when it is suspected to have hit a log. International Monetary Fund urges European central banks to kill the beast of inflation by pursuing interest rate hikes. The IMF maintains bringing down inflation more important than concerns over the collapse of the banking system. Fighting rages in Sudan despite rival forces agreeing to extend a truce aimed to stem nearly 2 weeks of warfare that has killed hundreds and caused widespread destruction. The Eurozone economy inches forward in the first quarter, expanding just 0.1% over the previous quarter, as high inflation and interest rates weigh on activity. Senior Taliban leader warns the UNSC to give up its failed policy of pressure after members adopted a resolution condemning the group's growing restrictions on women. In his first campaign stop since Biden's formal announcement of his candidature, Donald Trump warns the United States will descend into anarchy if the Republican billionaire isn't returned to office. The Russian drone industry could soon be worth 1 trillion rubles or $12.25 billion once a plan to boost production is put into place, President Vladimir Putin said on Thursday. Late last year, Putin said Russia must increase its own output of unmanned aerial vehicles and create infrastructure for their widespread use in military and civilian application. Libyans in the western city of Zawiya protested against militia groups they accuse of recruiting migrants into their ranks involved in alleged acts of torture, according to the residents. Zawiya is a key departure point for migrants seeking to cross the Mediterranean for Europe, and many seek work there while awaiting the sea crossing. Boston Celtics held their nerves to beat Atlanta Hawks 128-120 in a thriller to win the series 4-2. Jason Tatum registered 30 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 blocks and a steal to set up an Eastern Conference semi-final clash against the Philadelphia 76ers. Taylor Gooch is in contention to become the first player to go back-to-back after grabbing the first-round lead at Live Golf Singapore. Gooch's bogey-free 7-under 64 saw him take a one-shot lead over British Open champion Cameron Smith, Masters runner-up Brooks Koepka, Sergio Garcia and Cameron Tringale.
And before we go, here's a reminder. Next week, we will be bringing you Gravitas live from the United Kingdom as it prepares for the coronation of King Charles. We will be taking you behind the scenes on every aspect of the coronation ceremony. From the preparations to the coronation menu, to the royal guest list, to the security arrangements, to the street parties, the concerts. It will be an extensive week-long coverage. And here's a sneak peek of what to expect.
Next week on Gravitas, witness history in the making as King Charles III gets crowned. Watch ground reports from London as we take you behind the scenes on every aspect of the ceremony. From the preparations to the coronation menu, from the royal guest list to the security arrangements. The most extensive coverage every night at 9 p.m. IST, May 1st to May 6th.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition tonight. We're leaving you, as always, with Gravitas images. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good weekend.